Welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show, the podcast dedicated to lighting you up with inspiration, motivating you to be better in all areas of your life, and igniting action inside of you so that you can ultimately create more impact in this world that so desperately needs you. On every Impact Show, we dive into mindset, health set, leadership, and something personal so that I can coach you to be the very best version of yourself. With that, it's time to dive into today's Impact Show episode. Hey, superstars, quick question. What if one weekend could change your business and change your life? I want to personally invite you to join the TD High Performance Mastermind. And when you do, your very first retreat is on us. That's right, absolutely free. We're headed to Whitefish, Montana. Yup, beautiful Whitefish, Montana, this November 13th to the 16th, and it's going to be absolutely epic. Think of this, 3 days of deep coaching, strategy sessions all day long, powerful conversations with other high performers, and some serious soul fueling in the mountains. Oh, by the way, it's going to be a ton of fun as well. The retreat is usually $999, but when you join the mastermind in the month of May, you're going to get the retreat for absolutely free as a new member bonus. If you're a fitness pro, you're a life coach, or you're a business owner or leader, and you're ready for real accountability, a plan for 2025 and 2026 by that point, and a fire-breathing community that's going to fire you up, then you belong in the room. You can bring a spouse, you can bring a colleague or a friend, or just come alone, but you must be in the room. Simply go to todddurkin.com/TD Mastermind. That's todddurkin.com/TD Mastermind and book your free strategy call with our team today. We're going to walk you through your goals, give you a customized plan, and if it's a fit, you'll be joining us in Montana this November. I can't wait to see you there now. Take action. Yoo-hoo! Yeah, you know who it is. That's right. Welcome back to the Todd Durkin Impact Show, and this is Todd Durkin, and you're in for a treat today. Buckle up your bootstraps. I've got my friend Justin Prince on today's podcast show, and let me tell you what, he has one heck of a story. This is entitled When Life Falls Apart, How to Rebuild and Get Your Mind Right and Rise Again with Purpose and Power. And my friends, let me tell you what, I know that life has its ups and downs, and Justin Prince is now back on fire. He wrote a book called Be the One a few years ago with my co-author, Clay Manley, and you'll hear about that on today's show. But as always, we got to start with a little mindset, because one of the things Justin talked about on today's show prompted me to do a little mindset drop, like a mic drop, but a mindset drop all about trust the redirect. Trust the redirect. So without further ado, let's dive in and let's get into a little mindset right now. Trust the redirect. When bad things happen or tough things happen, how do you react? How do you react when tough things happen? What do? Do you clamber up into a shell, or do you stand up and fight? Do you feel sorry for yourself, or do you get up and say, I'm going to make something of this? My question to you today is, how do you build resilience? How do you build faith? How do you build impact? Because when things go astray, how do you trust when things don't go your way? How do you trust when things don't go your way? Do you trust when things don't go your way? Because when you're trusting, sometimes it takes weeks upon weeks, months upon months, and dare I say even years upon years when things go astray. How do you have faith when things go sideways? Now that's the million-dollar question. How do you have faith when things go sideways? Do you have faith when things go sideways? Let's just perhaps say that maybe everything in your life is not going your way right now. Maybe just a few things aren't going your way, or maybe it's that one thing that you say, man, if I could just get this one thing to go my way, life would be so much better. Have you ever said that? Or maybe you're saying it right now as you're out for your walk, your workout, you're driving, you're listening in. I recently heard of a quote, and I love it. It's on faith. And this is what it says. Now listen carefully, please. It says, faith sees the invisible, believes the unbelievable, and receives the impossible. Thank you, Corey ten Boom. Think about that. Listen, let me repeat that and bring in each and every word. Faith sees the invisible. So are you seeing the invisible, the things you don't see? It's often said that faith is believing what you do not see. Faith is believing what you do not see. Faith sees the invisible. So whatever it is you're holding on to, whatever God-sized dreams you're holding on to, and you believe at your core that this is going to happen, well, then you got to see the invisible. Faith believes the unbelievable. Why is it the biggest things in life sometimes people once scoffed at or laughed at because that's unbelievable? That's not even possible. You can't do that. That's you can't even believe that. Faith believes the unbelievable. So have faith. Have faith, my friends. And faith receives the impossible. Receive it. Today I want you to receive it. Not just receive my word, but receive the fact that faith receives the impossible. Now, let's break that word impossible down, remember, because I've shared this before on the podcast. When you think about the word impossible, I'm possible. I'm possible. So please right now, as a mantra, is say, I'm possible. I'm possible. So the next time you see the word impossible, I want you to think, I'm possible. I'm possible. Because with faith, it's possible. With faith, anything is possible, but you got to believe it. You got to see it, and you got to receive it. Believe it, see it, receive it. So please, in those words right now, say believe, see, and receive, because you must believe it. You must see it. You got to see it before anyone else sees it. All your brothers and sisters, all your friends, colleagues, coworkers, sometimes even mentors, you have to know in your heart of hearts that it's possible, because ultimately, you're going to receive it. Think about that. Think about it. Now, let's go back to the trust the redirect. Trust the redirect. Redirect. Going in a different direction. Let's course correct. So let me ask you that question. Where is life getting redirected right now? Where is it? Only you know that maybe there's an adaptation happening. Maybe there's a course correction happening. Maybe there's an audible being called and you're choosing it, or it's choosing you. Where is life getting redirected right now? How many times when you look back and life took a left turn, it made no sense at the time, and now it does. Sometimes looking at life in the rearview mirror is 2020, and it makes perfect sense when you look back, when you're going through, you're like, what the heck is happening? Man, I can't figure this out. Have faith, my friends, have faith. So when I say trust the redirect, think about that. Trust the redirect. Please, as a mantra again, say it. Trust the redirect. Trust the redirect. How can you do a better job today, trusting right now, today, this week, what's going on in your life right now, with whatever it may be, professionally, relationally, financially, personally? Where is life getting redirected right now? And please, keep trusting and keep having faith. See the invisible, believe the unbelievable, and receive the impossible. That is my mindset mantra of this week for the podcast. Let's take a short break, and we'll come right back with my great friend, Justin Prince. Y'all are in for a treat today. I hope you're out for a workout, because you're going to get your inspiration and motivation all in one today, because I have my good friend Justin Prince on the line today. And let me tell you what, you're going to be inspired. Whether you're at the top or you're at the bottom, this man epitomizes what I call greatness. He has tasted it all, and he's creating great impact out there today. So Justin, welcome to the show, brother.
Todd, man, what an honor to be on with you. You to me are, you're an example of the highest level of what you do. Like, in other words, being the elite level of what you do. And so when I met you, literally when I met you, I was like, this is like my brother from another mother. Clay connected us, and I was just like, we gotta get to know each other. So honored to be on with you. Honored to meet your people. I know that the birds of a feather flock together. So people that are attracted to you, that they're my kind of people.
Yeah, well, thank you. We both have some great people in our communities. And guys, when he says Clay, he's referring to Clay Manley, my co-author in True Strength, the book that came out just prior to Coaching Greatness. And Clay and I go way back. And when I was done with True Strength, he said, hey, Todd, you need to get with Justin Prince. You two are like two peas in a pod. And I'm glad he connected us because you got some amazing things going on, Justin. And I can't wait to share some of those things with our listeners today. We got a great crew that listen in. So I'm fired up for that.
Yeah, I am too.
Before we go and share all the good news with what you're doing with that. And yes, we have a lot of commonalities. Make Wellness is new to the world, and it's just what now? How old? Your newest company.
So we did a kind of a preview period where we were kind of hardening all of our systems and shipping processes and the whole thing. So we did about a 4-month process of just kind of pre-launching the business, and then this month, literally as we're recording this right now, is the month that we launched the business. But so to be our official month right now, it'll be month 5. And what's crazy? We've shipped over 200,000 orders. We've, over 400,000 unique items, 200,000 different unique customer orders. And, it's just been this like rocket ship of a business. And it's one of those things where it's like an idea whose time has come. It's like the right story. People are like, that's what I'm looking for. In our case, it's these what's called bioactive precision peptides. In other words, nature-based peptides. And man, we feel like we're just at the very beginning of what we think will be really the future of wellness and where people are headed with their health and their wellness.
Before I dive into your backstory, because I really want to spend a little time in there, can you just give the 30-second overview of what is Make Wellness so people know, okay, we're going to end up, but what is Make Wellness?
Yeah. So Make Wellness is really the world leader in what's called bioactive precision peptides. So that sounds like a lot. Let me just put it to you this way. It's nature-based peptides. A lot of you are hearing about peptides right now, particularly right now, they're really kind of coming on the scene. Peptides have been around forever. Insulin was the first peptide. Colostrum from others' milk is a peptide. So we've been associating with them forever. But with the introduction of some of what's called the therapeutics are synthetic chemical compounds from labs that you have to inject under the supervision of a doctor. Bioactive peptides are nature-based peptides. So there's literally, for sure hundreds of millions, really billions of peptides in nature. So whether it's in food sources, marine life, even bacteria, remember, like your gut is full of bacteria. That's where you get, that's why you need those good probiotics and so on.
Yep.
And so peptides are cell signaling ingredients they're derived from nature. So think about it this way. Nutritional supplement that we all take, it hits our system, it kind of trickles down and hope finds some deficiencies. And that's where it goes after. It goes through the process in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Peptides cut out the middleman. They just talk directly to your cells. They're just cell signaling, just boom. They can work with precision in different systems of your body. And so we've partnered with some of the very top research labs in the world that are using artificial intelligence data platforms to identify and isolate and then do human clinicals on peptides from nature versus from the lab. So you can take it like a nutritional supplement, like almost like a super supplement versus something you have to inject. And so we're telling this story out there of bioactive precision peptides. And it's a story I think that's time has come.
Well, I can't wait to learn more about it on every front. I know several of the people who are on the team working with you specifically. I'm intrigued on all of your entrepreneurial experience and having built 5 multi-million-dollar businesses on that. But if we can step back first, I was reading your bio and I got stuck on raised in a broken home, no college education, and began your professional career working construction, flipping pizzas, and selling animated Bible videos. Can you please just bring me back, like Justin Prince, the kid, and what you grew up to make you who you are today?
Yeah, I think it's these stories are always so important because sometimes, my friends, we see someone's after picture,
Yep.
and we're like, well, of course they succeeded, that kind of thing. Our heads can play games with us just a little bit, but you know how it is. It's like if you were to ever hear someone's story, it'd be hard for you to not like them because you're like, oh, I feel like when I hear your story and we really get to know each other. So for me, I came from basically a middle class family. My folks were divorced at age 12. My dad had my older sister, older brother from a prior marriage, so I was my mom's oldest. I was raised by single parents. My dad was for sure still in my life, but I lived at my mom's house. And so we moved 13 times in the 7 years through the teenage years.
Wow.
I have really no professional background. You mentioned, doing construction and making pizzas and so on. But I worked at a mall kiosk, and I tease people, Todd, that the mall is where all of us older people used to go when the Amazon was a river. And some of us old people will know what I'm talking about, And this is back in the day. And so I was the guy you tried to not make eye contact with because I worked in a mall kiosk. I sold animated Bible videos, these little cartoon Bible videos. And what I did have, and by the way, I hope you guys have this too. I always had big dreams and big goals, and I wanted to do something in my life. I wanted my life to matter. I wanted to make an impact. And I just remember, like, how do I find the right opportunity? I was willing to put in the work. I have the tenacity, And when I was 25 years old, I started my first business. Just went for it, Long story short, the business fails. I'm below zero financially, back on credit cards, back on taxes. My now pregnant wife with our third little baby, because we had 2 little kids, we moved into the loft of my wife's parents' garage. So I have 2 little kids sleeping in the closet. My wife and I are in the little loft area. I pick up 2 part-time jobs. Todd, you remember these days where you're working all week, doing one, all weekend doing another, but then I'm still trying to chase the dream, the entrepreneurial dream
100%.
to be free. And man, there was many nights I wondered, is this even possible for us? I knew it was possible in the world. I just didn't know it was going to be possible for us. And long story short, ended up building that business, traveled all over the world with that business when I was in my 20s. I've sold that business. And then my last kind of primary business, 12 years ago, I came into a company that was 8 years in a row of declining revenue. It was actually purchased by a private equity company. And they brought us in as a transformation team to see what could transform this company. So 8 years in a row of double-digit per year decline. So it's just going the wrong direction fast. We came in as part of a transformation team. We basically ripped this company to the floorboard, started again. And we built an organization that sold over $2.5 billion in revenue over the next, basically 10 years. Paid out over $1 billion in commissions to the field leadership. They were basically marketers that were marketing our products online. Created a ton of economic opportunity for the employees and for the owners. It was a great business for them too. And man, I was at the top of my game, traveling all over the world, making an incredible living. Todd, is so interesting. So I had people that I really cared a lot about, thought we were friends, that went to the ownership management team and basically had created kind of a fake story, a fake rumor. And instead of calling me and saying, "Hey, is this true? What's going on?" They just basically, I landed in New York for fall break. I get an email from a law firm saying, "You're terminated and we're suing you." So when you're working with private equity, if things are tight, you don't look like an asset. You look like a liability, and over the economics are tight. So your income looks like it's something they could hold on to. And so not only did I lose all of my income and in all this, 11 years worth of work that you put in, but then, your name's dragged through the mud and you're just like, man, what the freak is going on? Just painful. Oh, the betrayal and all that stuff. And you really do wonder, like, did these guys just ruin my career? Like, am I like going to get crushed on this? And here's what's interesting. I had a friend of mine. I know you'll appreciate this because and by the way, I think all of us that have grinded through those hard times will appreciate this. And Todd, I know you have.
Yep.
I have this friend call me once. She's kind of like a life coach. She and I've never hired her, but she's a friend. She's kind of like a spiritual, really, really insightful woman, About 2 weeks into this thing, and she calls me, and it was a really particularly painful morning. It was a really challenging morning. You're being sued by a $2 billion equity fund. I mean, it's just not fun. And she calls me and she goes, "I got a word for you." She goes, "How are you doing?" And I said to her, "I'm doing good." What I should have said is, "I'm not doing so good." I watched her to burst in tears.
I'm horrible.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm doing great." And she goes, she said, "I got a word for you." So what's that? And here's what she says, 3 words. She says, "Trust the redirect." She goes, "Trust the gods and the details of your life and trust the redirect." And here's what's so interesting. Those like, life's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And all these little like personal development isms that we hear and we repeat. Man, those are all easy to talk about when, you're just living your best life and making 8 figures a year. And you're just like, life's happening for me. This is great. But man, when the tides turn, the rain falls, the wind blows, betrayal happens, you go through really dark, painful times.
Preach.
That's when you really start saying, is this really for me? Because that's one doesn't feel as much for me as the last one. And here's what I'll share with you, my friends, those of you that are going through those challenging times. Life's happening for you. Like, just trust these redirects, like trust the gods and the details of your life. 'Cause I look at my life now, A year plus later, we ended up launching Make Wellness. We created one of the fastest growing wellness companies, in the United States, and just have a lot of really great things happening. And I feel like this is just the beginning of where we're taking, really the future of wellness and all of it. So Todd, here's the moral. All of it would never have happened unless you got betrayed by your friends, in other words, without that pain, you never started in the redirect never would have happened.
How
So
long
you do
did
have to
that
trust those
pain?
redirects,
Yeah, how long did that pain last? Was this a year or 3?
Well, the deep depths of that pain, I had to process really hard for the next number of months, for sure. But once I started to be in a situation where I could start to prepare for this next season of my life, we were going through from a legal perspective, going through all of our agreements, just making sure that we were, honoring all of our agreements. And one of them was like, you can't prepare to compete. So once I was able to start preparing and start to get creative again, then some of that pain started going away, because you could start to like work on your next season of your life. But here, how it is. It's like, you don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if anyone's going to be interested. You don't know if it's going to be a complete disaster, belly flop, not work.
That's right.
And I look at it now, and when you go through challenging times, you guys know how it is. Life, contrast is such a great teacher. Martin Luther King says, the stars shine brightest in the darkest nights. Well, why is that true? It's because the dark night creates contrast. None of us want to go through a dark night. But man, when you go through a dark night, it creates contrast where if you're willing to shine and step up and stand out and shine brighter, because of the dark night, you're going to create more contrast. Because if all the stars are shining bright and you shine bright, you'll blend in. But if all the stars decide not to shine bright and create a dark night and you shine bright, you'll stand out. And so all of that time creates more contrast where as I'm going through this experience, I'm like, man, I'm just even that much more grateful for friends. I'm that much more grateful for people that believe in you and support you. And you're that much more grateful for the economic opportunity you're able to create for people, because you've been through the contrast of the pain of betrayal and all the other stuff,
Yeah. So when you're going through that period, not that we want to sit in that and based in that dark period, but if you could just stay there for a moment, is the mindset that you're in then you're just going to go get a job? Or is it, hey, I'm going to create something?
Well, so here's how I would share it. So when my first business fails when I'm 25, 26,
yeah,
it left me in a very precarious financial situation. Back on credit cards, back on taxes. That's when we moved in a lot above my wife's parents' garage. So I had to literally go pick up 2 part-time jobs just to like feed the kids and keep the light bill paid and just keep going, This second round, I was at a little bit of a different financial situation where I could actually like take a deep breath and say, what the heck do I want to do with the rest of my life? What do I want to, where do I want to go? And really it came down to 3 things for me. One is, I want to create a value and principle-based leadership revolution. I really believe that the way that you change the world is by changing you. It really is the Gandhi quote, as cliche as this might sound, which is to be the change you wish to see. I wrote a book called Be the One.
Yep.
The essence of leadership is example. So Todd, for you to go tell your kids and go tell your athletes and go tell everyone else what to do, the essence of leadership is example. At some point, they want to know that the shoes in your feet outwork the shoes in your the tongue in your shoes outwork the tongue in your mouth. In other words, they want to know that you're walking the talk versus just talking it. And so when you do that, that's how I think you strengthen the home. You start helping folks get their house in order, because you're bettering the mom, bettering the dad. That betters the family. That's how we ultimately strengthen our communities, our coaches and our school leagues and our PTAs and our teachers and our firefighters and police officers. Like, we start strengthening the home, that strengthens our local community. That's how we ultimately change our country and ultimately change the world. So that's what I want to wear myself out doing: developing people, adding value, serving people at a high level, helping them to be the one they're born to be. That leads to my second one, which is I want to create economic opportunity. I think you and I probably both have this weird gene in us that where, like, if I was selling widgets into Walmart and I made a ton of cash and had a huge life, I would have a hole in my heart, because I want to create economic opportunity for other people. I'm a recipient, pardon me, of economic opportunity. I was blessed by people creating economic opportunity, in the United States of America, where I could change my economic situation. And I get a lot from that. And then my third thing is I wanted to create a dent in the future of wellness. And that to me is where the whole Make Wellness thing came, because we were looking at different product ideas. And by the way, Todd, they're all good ideas. They weren't stupid ideas. They're good ideas. We looked at a ton of them, but nothing where I was like, yo, this is a big, big, big idea. Like, this is an idea that if we do this properly, wellness is never the same with these bioactive, nature-based peptides. Once we put those three together, where I could teach value and principle-based leadership to a huge community of people, create one of the largest sales organizations in the world, do that, create economic opportunity, and then go create a story where we're changing, people's lives in health and wellness. That was meaningful to me.
So from losing your job until the start of your new company, Make Wellness, how much time was there in between there?
Yeah, just over a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was able to start competing again 6 months later. And so we were just in preparation mode, for just over a year later. We were able to launch the business and kind of get to work and start adding value and serving people. So it was just over a year that we started into that pre-marketing phase. And then it was about a year and a half that we officially launched the business, from the time that I went through, getting shot in the face and drugged to the public square to the relaunch was basically about 18 months later.
Yeah. And when you wrote your book, Be the One, if there's 2 or 3 principles that you'd like for our listeners to get out of Be the One, what are they? What are those overarching principles?
Listen, I'll take 2 just to start. This is so important. The first one is this, my friends, you're the one. Success is an identity process, and you're never going to outperform the way you see yourself. Like, if you see yourself as a loser, you're not going to show up and play like a winner. If you see yourself as a winner, you're not going to roll over and quit like a loser. The story is told that there's 2 boys, one of which stole the candy, and they said to the child, did you steal the candy? The little boy said, I didn't steal the candy. Said to the other little child, they said, did you steal it? And the little boy said, I don't steal. So I didn't steal that particular piece of candy is an action. I don't steal is an identity. It's who you are. And success is in identity. It's an identity process. One of the things that you do with your athletes, I know this just because I know that this is how success works and how you would wire their minds, is you're teaching them identities. You're teaching them this is who you really are. When times get tough, you go back to the identity, remind yourself who you really are. And you're teaching an identity of greatness. Like, this is who you are. So first thing I want you to think about is this. You are the one. Think of it this way. If you were to take your parents, that's 2, your grandparents is 4, great-grandparents is 8. Anyway, if you were to go up 12 generations of your family lineage, 12 generations was 4,094 people. So 4,094 people from all over the world came together to create you. You are the one, and you are the one these folks lived for, bled for, cried for, died for, gave everything they had for us for you to have this moment, this breath. And so when you realize, man, I'm the one, like, my life actually matters. I have value and purpose and meaning. I'm not just randomly here, like, yo, I'm the one. That's the first thing. And then the second part is to be. So you'll notice the book's not called Become the One. No. You are the one. The book is the challenge or the invitation to be the one you were born to be the one that lives a life and be the one that writes a story that future generations look up in their family lineage and they say, it was her or it was him. The addiction stopped with her. The abuse stopped with him. The financial principles that set our family free. It was my great-great-great-grandpa, or great-great-great-grandma. They're the ones that changed it. They made the new decisions. And check this out. The word decision, it's an interesting word. It's a Latin word. The Latin of decision, the decision meant to cut and the D meant off. So when they made incision, it cut in. Decision, cut off. What does that mean? It means you come up to a moment of your life. And Todd, think of this. You come up to a moment of your life and you make a decision to go this direction. You cut off all possibilities of going that direction. And every decision all of us have ever made our entire life led us to this conversation right now. You made an appointment to be here, my friends. We all did. And here's what I'll share with you. You can't always control what happens in life, but you've never been this old before and you'll never be this young again. And although you can't control what happens, you can control what happens next. Because right now in this moment, whether you're at the gym or you're in your car or wherever it is, you can say, you know what? I'm going to make a new decision to be the one for my family. I'm going to make the new decision to say, I recognize who I really am, and I'm going to go be that one today and step into it and start living the best version of myself.
So good. So good. Be the One. Pick it up, guys. That was the Cliff Notes version of it. And it's a great book. And again, Justin wrote that with Clay Manley. And if you go to Amazon.com, just check it out. Highly recommend it. You can probably just get a pulse by Justin's voice. When you listen to messages like this, it becomes who you are. When you listen to this, you're like, yeah, that's right. That's me. I am the one, right? Success is my identity. You start saying this self-talk, you hear that enough, you become that person that you're designed to be.
That's right.
But it takes that daily effort to make it happen. So Be the One, check it out on that. Justin, as a coach, I'm always intrigued how you got to where you are. I'm sure there's been mentors in your life that have helped you along your path at different seasons. Do you have, I don't know if it's your first coach or your latest mentor, is there anyone yet you would be able to mention of like someone who's greatly impacted you to help you get you to where you are today as a coach?
There's so many. And by the way, I Tiger Woods has a coach. The greatest piano player in the world has a coach. Like my friends,
right.
You want to proactively, intentionally find people that are the best on the planet at what they do. And remember, Phil Jackson wasn't the best player ever in basketball history, but Phil Jackson could add value to the best player ever. So you might be the star of what you do, but man, a coach takes you to a whole different level. You know,
That's
Jordan
exactly
never
right.
won without Phil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Aristotle says, if I've seen further, it's only by standing on the shoulders of giants. You know, he just had this mentorship group. And what's beautiful about today is you can listen to a podcast like this, where you can go read a book, go read True Strength with Todd's book, for example. You can get some of my most impactful mentors I've never even met. You know, they were people that poured into my life, but I'll share one with you. Those of you that are in the leadership world, you may have heard of John Maxwell. So John C. Maxwell, he wrote 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. He's written almost 100 books, 30 plus million copies. I think it's like 35 million and counting. So I was with John doing a country transformation in Costa Rica, and it was just a surreal experience. We're having a police escort through the country. We went and met the U.S. ambassador. I'm sitting there. It's like me, the U.S. ambassador at the U.S. embassy with John Maxwell. I'm like, what is happening to how did this happen? You know, we went to their police graduation with 3,000 police cadets. We went to the National Theater with a black tie event with all their kind of business people. We went to met the head of FIFA, met the soccer team. So the 7 centers of influence. Well, one of the stops was at a local university with a bunch of college kids. So imagine these kids are, let's call it 17 to 21, 22, 23, because they're college kids, right? Yep. There's about 500 of them. And it's in a theater style seating. So as you can imagine, they have the stage and then the theater style goes like this, packed with these kids. So John Maxwell gets up, and if you've ever seen John teach, he'll sit on a stool or a chair, and then he'll have a table next to him, and then his interpreter's name is JB. His name's Juan Varek, and Juan is basically the Latin American John Maxwell. He's not only great with the language, he's great with the man. He almost is like he does all the mannerisms as well. So John's up there teaching these kids, and he's just doing his thing, teaching. There's about 8 or 10 of us in this small group of the country transformation. And all of a sudden he just stops. So Todd stops, he puts his hand on his chin like this. It's almost like something really hit him, like an idea really hit him. And he goes, if there's only one thing I could share with you kids that would have the most impact in your life, it would be this one thing. So here he is. He's like, Inc. magazine said he's the world's foremost authority on leadership. He's got gray hair. He's 74 years old. These kids are 18. This is the one thing. Like they pull up their notes, kind of lean forward. And he doesn't say anything. He just kind of sits back in his chair like this. Finally, he stands up off his chair, walks to the edge of the stage, and just holds his arm up straight. So if you're listening, he just holds his arm straight up in the air like this. It doesn't say anything, the edge of the stage. Well, dude, 5 seconds have passed, 10 seconds. It feels like 5 minutes. It's almost a little awkward. There's this awkward pause, right? Just has his arm straight up in the air. Well, JV sees this, the interpreter. He gets up off his stool, walks over next to John. He just holds his arm straight up in the air because no one said anything. It's now 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Finally, one of the Costa Rican students, a young woman, let's call her 18 years old. She stands up in the audience and she just kind of like slowly puts her arm straight up in the air. And then someone else did, and someone else did, and someone else. And finally, the whole audience has stood up, put their arm straight up in the air. And John said, if there's only one thing I could share with you that would have the most impact in your life, it would be this one thing. And he, with his arm straight up in the air, he said, live an intentional life. He said, most people have uphill hopes and downhill habits. And he said, all success is all uphill all the way. And you don't accidentally go up hills. You only intentionally go up hills. So live an intentional life. And 4 words that I'm sitting there in the audience thinking to myself, I'm like, how intentional am I being? And that's a question I'd ask you. Like, how intentional are you being with your fitness right now? How intentional are you being with like your mind? You know what I'm saying? The mental part of it, the mind part of it. How intentional are you in your faith right now? Like, are you just kind of going through the motions? Like, yeah, I sort of believe, or I don't believe, or whatever your thing is. Like, where are you at in your intentionality? What about your marriages or your relationships? Like, one of the things I love about Todd is, Todd, you show up with so much enthusiasm and passion. That's intentionality. It might be some personality, don't get me wrong, but it's intentionality. Like, you set an intention to show up with energy. My friends, how intentional are you being right now in your life? And most people live their entire life in a world of reaction to distraction versus intentional creation. We just literally react to all the stuff, the Instagram and the social and the text and the chaos and the politics and the news and the whole thing, versus saying, I want that. I'm going to go create this in my life, and then intentionally create habits and patterns and mindsets to go make that happen. And once you realize, I'm not just here to react to life, I'm here to create things. If you think of this, by the way, this is true for all Jews and Christians, but it's also true for all of us. Check this out. If you think of the very first passage of the Bible, right? Very first, I'm talking like literally open it up, verse number 1, right? God introduces himself. Now think of all the all the titles God can use. Like, I'm like God, like I'm the Father, I'm like a creator, I'm the Prince of Peace. I mean, just like I'm Jehovah. I mean, just could list all these amazing titles, very powerful titles. Guess what God says? He says, in the beginning, God did what to the heavens and the earth? Those of you that are, Bible scholars, you'll know this answer. He created. Of all the titles that God could say is, I just want you to know who I am. Welcome to the book. I'm God and I'm a creator. And the reason I think he starts here is to say, you're in my likeness and image. I'm putting you now on earth to go create stuff. Don't react to stuff. Go create stuff. And once you step into that identity, success is an identity process, and you live an intentional life, your life never is the same.
So good. So good. All starting with John Maxwell. Like that's a great story. I always love hearing from other successful people and how coaches have impacted them and mentored them. And even now, all of us, there's always people in our lives that bring out the best in us. Sometimes they're colleagues and coaches, and other times they're mentors. But thank you for sharing that, Justin. I enjoyed that. And John Maxwell is someone I've studied, intensely for 20 years, right? He's been around for a long time on that. So I do want to get into what you're most excited about these days, everything with Make Wellness. I know you just officially launched it less than a month ago. It was Orlando, Florida. And I saw the videos, because the celebration, you were extremely emotional in these videos. You were tearing up on stage, and I saw the crowd, and it was a very touching, emotional experience because I was watching that from afar. What was most special about that moment when you have all these people in a crowd in Orlando, Florida, and you just got overwhelmed with emotion?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, what a great question. So just to set the context, I was really the top of my game in my space. And I don't say that to boast or brag. I'm just saying, just kind of put yourself in that situation, right? You've worked really hard for many, 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 many years. You're kind of the top of your game in your space. And then bam, Tuesday, everyone thinks you're great. And Wednesday, you're like you're painted as the worst person ever. It was just like, what the heck? It was kind of surreal to watch.
Yep.
Very, very, very public, very painful, all these kind of, very negative things said about you, just these distortions and these lies and this whole thing. And so you walk through the valley of the shadow of death a little bit through that. It's like you walk through the refiner's fire, right? So I walk out on stage, and my question to all of you to start this is, how many of you are in a season of your life where you're needing to write a comeback story? And maybe you've been through, you just went through that painful divorce, and it was public. And then there was the friends, your friend group ripped apart, and now you can't hang out with friends of yours. And plus you watch your kids cry and now you're really wondering how you're going to pull it off financially. And you're just like, what is this really my life? Did this really just happen? Or maybe you're in the throes of addiction and you're saying, I'm better than this, but it's still got its grasp on you and you're not sure how to pull through, or you're kind of maybe trying to pull out, but you're like, man, I got to write a comeback story now. I've lost some years in my life, or maybe financial ruin, some of you, I mean, Todd, we talked about your health. We talked about your the financial stress and strain of COVID, just devastating to your business and the millions of other people's businesses. Right. So many of you are in need of a comeback story. I was writing a comeback story. So I walk out on the stage. What's so interesting is I was backstage. We have this beautiful room, huge, massive stage, thousands of people, the whole thing. And I was backstage and I was just having this I was like, dude, you got to cry this thing out. I'm not a humongous crier, but I'm like, I got to go back and just like ball all these tears out and then get on stage and do what you do. Right. And I walk out on stage and I'm just like, my eyes are just watering. I'm like, good gracious. And I said to the audience, I said, they tried to bury us, but they didn't realize we were seeds. And everyone cheers, And I said, how many of you are in need of a comeback story? And part of what was so emotional was two things. One is so many of those people watched what happened and they go, I know this is bull. I know what's not being said is this is so not true. And so you really learn who's with you when the chips are down. We were forged together in fire. And here's what's interesting about fire. Fire can heat your food and warm your house. And fire can burn down your house and can consume your whole neighborhood. So fire, the same thing that heats you and feeds you, can tear your whole life apart.
That's right.
This community of people was forged in fire. That was the first thing, is I saw who was really with me, what they were really all about. The second thing, though, was some of the other people that have recently come into my life. Fire can purge too. It can purify. It can purify people out of your life. My friends, there's relationships right now. Look, I know they're part of your life and some of your circle. They're just, as well as I do, they're not serving you right now. And they really don't have your back. And they really would turn on you in 2 seconds if it benefited their status in any way. Maybe it's a friend or a coworker or whatever. And so I have this whole new community of people that I've seen them walk through the fire with me, because fire reveals who you really are. The challenges reveal who you really are. So I get up on stage and it was just emotional, just all these emotions hitting you of like, they tried to bury us, but they didn't realize we were seeds. And the last thing is I brought my wife up there, and that was the one. Cause my wife, I'm just telling you, Todd. So first of all, she's literally beautiful inside now. When you meet her, she's just such a beautiful person, full of grace and class and strength. But my wife's more quiet. She's more of an observer. She's not super gregarious and like, oh my gosh, life party. She's more of a listener. She's not shy. She's just more of a listener, more of an observer. But this woman, so my point is, sometimes I think people might take that as weakness, that she's more quiet, and they'd maybe take it as weakness. She's very, very kind. She has a backbone of steel, because as you go through that and your family's under attack and, you have no income and you're spending $100,000 a month to defend yourself against a multi-billion-dollar, fund. You better have some grit, or else you're just going to curl up on the corner, And she is tough as nails. And so there was times when she believed in me more than I believed in me.
Preach.
That we could make it through this thing. And so to have her up there was super special as well.
We have so many similarities, man. It's crazy to hear you talk about her.
We're smart enough to marry women that are way better than us, that lift us up,
It's just interesting. I think every one of us needs someone to believe in us sometimes.
100%.
Like everyone, I don't care who you are. Again, I work with some of the highest level athletes in the world. And sometimes you just got to have someone that believes in them more than they believe in themselves, even though they might believe in themselves. Sometimes you don't know what those whispers are saying, the doubts are saying, or they read one of those dumb articles that someone wrote, or it's really cool to hear that with your wife and that love and support, because you talk about forging the fire and strengthening a relationship. It's like, if we can get through that, we can get through anything.
Exactly. Yeah. To your point, Abraham Lincoln said, I'm a success today because I had a friend who believed in me and I didn't have the heart to let him down. And man, sometimes all you need is a friend. All you need is someone to say, I believe in you, to go do truly incredible things. And I was, I've been so blessed to have Missy, like just her strength over the last 22 years, being like, yo, you got what it takes. Keep going,
Yeah, no, so good. So tell me, it's a new endeavor. I know you're super fired up, and there's a lot of promise. I hear the buzz, and I know that the team I'm involved with is telling me, man, like I'm telling you, Justin's on fire. What what are you most excited about with everything at Make Wellness?
Yeah. Yeah. The growth is awesome, and I'm super grateful for it. And it's fantastic, but really the growth equals changing people's lives. That's what the growth equals. That's what the revenue equals. My business is really like, it's very direct in changing someone's life. Again, if I sold widgets into Walmart, you're like hoping this is adding value somewhere in the economy. My business, like our products, I hear these stories. Literally, I get tagged in on the daily of how our products are changing people's lives, whether it's helping them to build more lean muscle and get more fit and active in their life, or maybe they're burning, fat in problem areas, or maybe they're getting more focused and maybe getting off things that aren't serving them from a focus perspective, and getting laser focused in their life, or getting more energized at more of a cellular level versus just the spikes and the synthetic caffeines and all that kind of stuff. And so you start seeing it change someone's whole life from a product perspective. It's pretty exciting, and it's very liberating, to watch this happen for people. And then the second thing is the economic opportunity that it creates. I mean, again, for me, what we're doing for our employee base, what we're doing for our affiliate base, like that stuff just kind of turns my crank. I just freaking love it, because I want to be a force for good in the world, both from a health perspective. We've talked about the healthcare industry, and as well as I do, it more appropriately should be called the sick care industry, because you don't go to the healthcare industry when you're healthy. You go when you're sick.
Preach.
And we get on, substances that oftentimes don't help you get that healthy. In other words, the downside's not worth the upside, right? And so helping people be healthy and, create wellness in their life is very, very important to me, matters to me. And then also just helping change someone's financial situation and, help them to, earn additional income and build their confidence, build their courage, be the leader of their home, step up in their life. Because here's what I'll also share with you. Robert Schuller was a famous religionist author. He says, if you build the people will build the church. I'm not in the peptide business. I'm in the human business. I'm in the people business. Howard Schultz with Starbucks, he says, we don't serve coffee to people. We serve people, and we basically build people who serve coffee. Like he's in the people business. And to me, that's what fires me up, is changing people's lives, pouring into them. You know how it is, Todd. Their eyes open up all of a sudden. They start thinking of things differently. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things you look at change. All of a sudden they start looking at things differently. Instead of focusing on things they don't have, they focus on what they do have. Instead of focusing on all their fears or focusing on all their faith. Yeah. You're just changing people's lives. And for me, it's very direct. It's like, again, it's one of the things you got to do with coaching is you're watching this happen in real time. That kind of stuff really lights me up.
Justin, how do you do it now? Like the last couple of years, heck, ever since my back injury, when you're in pain, you'll do anything. I started taking peptides in 2022, 21, on that. There's a lot of different companies out there. How does Make Wellness differ than any of the other companies out there? I don't know how many now. There's dozens that pop up all the time, and they're not just for pain. I took mine for pain. There's obviously different categories, but talk a little bit more in the weeds as far as Make Wellness and how you differentiate amongst any of the other brands out there.
Yeah. So peptides today, the ones that you're hearing about are what's called therapeutic peptides. And by the way, I'm not at war with therapeutics. I think peptides are awesome. I'm partnered with, in this case, with these people in this wellness journey for people, trying to help people be well. But therapeutic peptides are synthetic chemical compounds that are compounded in a lab. They're almost primarily taken through an injection, and you need to be under a doctor's supervision. You need to cycle on, cycle off. In other words, you can only use them for certain periods of time and so on. So that's the therapeutics. That's like this category. The peptides that we are bringing to the world are what's called bioactive peptides. And bioactive doesn't just mean bioavailable. It means literally bioactive, like meaning from nature. So they're nature-based peptides. And nature-based peptides are naturally occurring in nature. So instead of a synthetic chemical compound from a lab, these are naturally occurring in nature. And instead of having to run them through an injection, you can actually take them as a nutritional supplement. So, you're taking them as a stick pack or a little capsule. So you're running them through the gut. And one of my biggest skepticism was like, well, do these still work through the gut, or do you have to run them through the bloodstream? If you think of like colostrum from mother's milk, we've been taking peptides since we were literally since you were born. Yep. Colostrum's a peptide, right? And so we've been running them through the gut our whole lives, even as little infants. So the cool thing is you can literally take these forever. There's no downside risk. There's only upside positives, no downside risk. And so this bioactive peptide space is really special. Now, here's one other quick thing I'll share with you. Peptides are cell signaling. So what that means is a normal nutritional supplement that you and I have taken our whole careers, which are great, it's all good, but like they'll have all these different vitamins and minerals and nutrients and whatever it is. They'll hit the system. They'll be processed through the system, and we're hoping to find some deficiencies. Oh, you're deficient in B12? Cool. This one happened to have B12. So it kind of like figures itself and like settles down and goes in the spots it's deficient. Peptides can work with precision. It's like a carpet bomb versus like a smart missile. It's like, in this case, muscle, like targeting the muscle recovery or muscle strength. That's what our Fit product would do. And it just, bam, talks directly to the cell. It's cell signaling. Peptides think about it like a peptide is a lock and DNA is a key. It just, boom, unlocks it and it works at its most optimal level. Mm-hmm. So peptides are like, man, it is unbelievable because they're cell signaling to every system of your body versus like, I hope that this is panning out. It's like, bam, it talks right to it.
Yep.
And so if you have the upside of the benefits of peptides without any of the downside, potential risks or challenges, that's the real strength of a bioactive peptide, these precision peptides. And so that story, when people hear it, they're like, I'm looking for all of to optimize. Here's a way to think about all this. We all want optimal health, not just good health. So think about it this way, Todd.
Absolutely.
Can you drive your car if your tires are basically not flat, but they need some air? Yes, you can. Can you do it if your coolant's low, if your oil is low, if you're low on gas, if you have no more windshield wiper fluid? Yeah. And by the way, your windshield wipers suck anyway. Yeah, you can do it, but the car's not optimized, right? If you blow up the tires properly, get them where they're supposed to be, fill it with a proper amount of coolant and oil and gas and get new windshield wipers and pour some fluid in. Also, the car can run for another 150,000 miles, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to optimize your health from a health perspective, like optimize it. So you're not just like, I'm surviving and I'm just like getting through. It's like, no, dude, what if you had optimal energy? What if you had optimal muscle gain? Because Todd, as you know, we start losing more and more and more and more of our muscle mass as we age. This happens more precipitously in women, but it happens for all of us. That's why an elderly person, they've kind of shriveled and shrunk over time. You want to hold on to that muscle. It's so valuable, so important. And so weight loss isn't the real game. The real game is body composition. Do I have some lean muscle and, you get rid of dangerous fats or an overage of fat? So that's the power of optimizing your body with a kind of a super supplement, like a bioactive peptide.
And I've been impressed with all my research, the team that you've put together, the scientists, the doctors, the research that's been behind all this. And you have 6 verticals. Can you just kind of touch on like, what are those different products?
Yeah.
And why did you choose those products versus any other product? There's only 6.
There's 6 now. So 4 of them are peptide products, 2 are support products.
Okay.
So the 4 peptide products, everything's built on what I call I am statements.
Love it.
So I am fit, I am
it.
lean, I'm energized and focused, those 4. And then the 2 support products says I'm hydrated, I am calm. And so we built those ones. And by the way, we have an incredible pipeline with these AI, these biotech labs of peptides that are like the next huge revolution in peptides. We're already working on kind of the next thing of where it's going just to affect all systems of the human body in a positive way. But Fit we were fired up about because the peptides in Fit are the ones that can help to build and maintain lean muscle, help you to recover more rapidly. And lean can help you to lose fat in those challenging areas, help you to kind of regulate your hunger levels. Energized has peptides that help to recharge your ATP storage, your energy storage in a cellular level. So think about it like you're literally plugging, the batteries in. So like you're recharging at a cellular level versus like spiking your adrenals. Because over time, and some of the stuff we drink, guys, it's not only is it full of a bunch of crap, but it spikes your adrenals and just wears yourself out over time. It has synthetic caffeines that make you feel weird, makes you feel jittery. This is like natural caffeine sources, so it's just very sustained energy over time. And then focused, man, in the United States, we pay a ton of money every year, to buy products that help us to get focused. because we're so distracted, because our brains are going 57 different ways at once. So to get laser focused is so valuable. I know one of your habits are these 90-day blitzes or 90-minute blitzes, pardon me.
Yep.
That's
Exactly.
learning how to tap into focus. There's a law called the law of use, which basically says what you don't use, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
And from the minute you get distracted, from the moment you get distracted, how long does it take us to go from focused to distracted back to focused? The answer is it takes 15 minutes and 28 seconds, according to research.
Yep.
To go
that's
from,
right.
I'm dialed in, boom, get distracted. And then now think about this, with all the text, all the downloads, all the digital stuff, all the time, all the demands. When was the last time you were undisturbed for 15 minutes and 20 seconds? And we're just constantly barraged with lack of focus and distraction. And then calm is what's called a direct to mouth. So you pour it directly in your mouth. What it does, it's a non-drowsy formula, but a lot of folks like it before bed. One of the things I love about you is you teach like your 3-2-1 formula before bed, but like in other words, you have a rhythm and a routine to help yourself to start to kind of wind down
That's right.
bed, so you get a good night's sleep, so you wake up in the morning ready to roll, with your morning routines. Calm has become that for a lot of folks, just part of that rhythm and that routine of of having it just help chill out a little bit.
Yep.
And then hydrated, listen, 75% of the population is dehydrated, and just drinking enough water is actually not enough. So this has minerals from the Great Salt Lake. And so you're basically getting natural, as it were, electrolytes, natural minerals that help. So they're supportive products. Think about it this way: your cell receptors, when they're dehydrated, they kind of shut down. When they're hydrated, they open up, and then the peptides are cell signaling, so they can talk to those better. So we built synergistic products. It's one of the kind of genius things that happened was right now there's the peptide space, there's a nutritional supplement space. Peptides don't have any nutritional supplements. Nutritional supplements don't have any peptides. We combine both. So it's kind of like a super supplement. It really has the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I've been using peptides for a while, right, with everything I said. And when we reconnected here, I'm like, send them out. So, guys, I'll put all the information in the show notes because I'm fired up for what Justin and his team have created. I've done a lot of research on it, and I love the different categories as well, whether you choose one or two or you choose all six. You can use all six. Use all six, correct? You do.
100%. Yeah, they're all synergistic. They're all designed that way.
Yeah, so you can use all six of those. That's a good thing. So I like that. I'll put everything in the show notes there. Last couple questions, Justin, just to wrap it full circle on this, because I know you have a lot going on this side with Make Wellness. But two things, because you've created such successful businesses, some you've built, some you've lost, some you've sold, and now you're back into it. When I say the word money, what do you think of? People have a lot of interesting emotional relationships with money. How do you view money?
Yeah, so check this out. It's such a great question. The way that I try and process it myself and then share with others, money itself is neutral. So like some people are like, money's bad, money's good. I'm like, money is neutral. I think money's like, hey guys, why is everyone calling me out? I'm neutral. Money is an amplifier. And it's an exposer. So like if you're a complete dirtball and you get a ton of money, you will be more of a dirtball.
Yeah, preach.
If you are a really deeply sweet person with a big compassionate heart, like to serve and add value and love people and make people's lives better, you have more money, you will serve and add value and be a more compassionate person. Money amplifies. But money itself, man, it's neutral. And here's what I'll share with you. You use an analogy, was so good. It's like a trapeze. You're like, you go from this ring and then you catch the next ring, but then you hold on to both rings. You're like, oh crap, I'm stuck. I think a lot of us, we have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. And some of it is this mental stuff of like, yeah, but if I become successful, then I won't have my faith and I'll lose my family. Listen, here's what I'll share with you. There's two races, my friends. The race number one is the race we all think we're running, which is winning. It's like, I need Instagram followers and social media influence and making money and building a business and having the house and the car. I'm all about you winning that race. It's all good. However, if you win that race and you lose the real race, which is race number two, this is your relationship with your faith and it's your soul. It's who you are really as a human, right? It's your relationship with your spouse, with your kids. It's like the way you show up in the world and treat people. If you win the first race and you lose the second race, I feel like you actually lost the race. Now, here's the second lesson, though. So super important for you to understand. you can win both races. You can have the house and you can have the car and you can have the business and you can have the Instagram followers and be successful. And you can have deep connection in your faith, deep connection with your family, deep connection in your marriages, be a great person, add a lot of value, serve people. And I would make the argument that you should do both. In other words, empty plates don't feed starving kids, and evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. You playing small your whole life does not serve the world. Like, you got to quit living as if the purpose of your life is to arrive safely at death. Like, you got to run to the roar, chase the dreams, go add value and serve at a high level. That stuff builds the success, but then the success allows you to serve and add value and bless more people's lives. So money itself is neutral, but money will expose, who you are.
Yeah, so good. I say that, I asked the question just because of someone like yourself who didn't grow up with a lot of money, right? You almost have to sometimes redefine that relationship. I share it sometimes as money is energy. Same way, growing up with not a lot, had to redefine that meaning of what money is. And I look at money as energy now. And even your energy could dictate your relationships and your mindset and that. So it's up and down. Is how do you create that energy that you so desire? So I loved hearing your perspective on that. My last question is, and I'm curious because you're living right now with Make Wellness as such a huge aspect of your time. But I love dreams. I love aspirations. I love legacy. And this is the Impact Show podcast. Is there a dream of yours that you haven't gone after yet? You haven't accomplished yet?
I definitely have dreams that I haven't accomplished that I'm still chasing for sure, but I can't think of one. This is such a good question. I like the way you even worded it. I can't think of a dream that I haven't, that I'm not chasing. And guys, I don't want you to hear that and say, well, good for you. Listen, Todd, there was a time. So let's go back to Clay. Clay helped both of us write our book. There was a time where I had the book in me. It was in my soul. I had it in there. And my question to all of you listening is, what's a dream that's in your, it's there. It's in your soul. In fact, it almost nags on you every time dreams come up or goals come up. You're like, oh, God, I got to go chase that thing, Well, one of them was I knew I had the book in there. In fact, I'd sat down to write it multiple times. Whatever. And I had all these Word docs everywhere and we just wasn't getting it done. I read a book called Who Not How. And the book said that we ask the wrong question. We ask, how am I going to achieve my dreams versus who do I need on my team to help me achieve my dreams? What coach do I need? Or what support staff do I need? Or what writer or partner, what do I need? And I called Clay. I said, hey, Clay, listen, I got this dream to finish this book. I I almost wanted to just finish it just to get the dream off my, off my plate because it's in my soul,
Yep.
And I said, I've got it doggone near done, but I also need an editor and I need someone super organized that can help me get it all done. And so we created a partnership and we partnered on this book and we knocked it out. And so it was a great lesson for me. As you're hearing this, what's a latest dream for you? What's a latest goal for you? And who do you need on your team? Who do you need to bring into your life so that you can say, I'm chasing that thing. It's not just a thing. I'm chasing it. So for me, there's not anyone that I haven't started chasing yet,
Yeah, so good. Man, I'm fired up. I'm ready to get my peptides going and get all fired up even more. So, Justin, thank you. If someone wants to follow you, I know you put a lot of great content out. Where can they follow you? How do they best contact you or follow along with the whole Make Wellness initiatives that are going on?
Yeah, so you can go to IamJustinPrince.com. You can go to I Am Justin Prince on Instagram, Justin Prince on Facebook and across the platform. So. Listen, I put out a ton of content and I share that with you to say it's, free content. I'm hoping that it will be something that you can listen to that can add value, keep you in the game, keep you emotionally strong through the ups and downs of your own journey and be something that serves you. And that's the reason I put it out, is just to see if I can serve and add value. So do a lot of that, do a lot of speaking and just, it's part of a fulfillment of a promise that I promised if I ever was successful, I'd do everything I could to help other people to achieve their dreams and goals as possible. And that's one of the ways I do it. So if I could serve your audience in any way, man, that's definitely what I'd like to do.
Well, ditto. Thank you. Right back at you. And thank you for everything, man, for the getting up when you were down and continue to persevere on your dreams and everything that you had envisioned, even though sometimes you're questioning, like, what the heck is going on? It's a great story. And my friends, when I say, you want to pal around other people that lift you up, Justin Prince is one of those guys. Make sure you follow him on those different handles that he just provided. I'll put them in the show notes. I'll also put our special link on the Make Wellness link if you want more information on any way that you can get involved with all that Justin was talking about. There's great opportunities there. You want to be in the same arena as people like Justin Prince. So I say thank you for everything that you're doing, the impact that you're creating, brother. When I say live a life worth telling a story about what's your story, you're creating one heck of a story, Justin. So I can't wait to connect and press the flesh with you. And man, it's an honor, brother. Thank you.
Love you, bro. Keep going, keep inspiring. I really appreciate it and respect you, Tom.
Thank you.
Hey guys, one more thing here before we wrap up today's show. All this talk with Justin Prince on peptides, and Justin founded Make Wellness. Absolutely love what he's doing with Make Wellness. Love what he's doing inside the peptide world, and you heard a lot of the content today. Just so you know, if you'd like to learn more about peptides, I have a page I put together. Just go to todddurkin.com/peptides. todddurkin.com/peptides, and it will show you the different peptides that are available if you'd like to order any of them, whether it be fit, lean, rehydrated, focus, any of the different peptides. They're all there. It explains it. So go check it out. And if you want to order them up, you can order them up as well. If you have any questions, you can certainly reach out also. But check it out, todddurkin.com/peptides. Hop over there now, check it out, and let me know what you think. Man, oh man, Justin Prince, what an amazing job right there. Really, really enjoyed that conversation. I hope you have a chance to check out all that Justin's doing and what Make Wellness is doing and all the peptides that Justin and Make Wellness are about. I know we're offering peptide solutions as well for your health with active peptides. So take a look at the link. And Justin Prince, man, just an awesome, awesome job. One of the things that we've been doing here on the Impact Show podcast is I've been bringing in the personal side of things here, and I've been getting great feedback, and I want to thank you all for the feedback. And today I want to get really personal, and I want to share something that I recently was a small part of, but it was a really, really big impact for thousands of people. And today's personal share is called Every 15 Minutes. Every 15 minutes. Now, every 15 minutes is an assembly put on at local high schools within the country, and it is one of the most powerful assemblies you could possibly imagine. So this is for all the parents, and if you have kids, please take a look at the timestamp right now and fast forward to right now, because every 15 minutes could save, well, I'll say at least one life. Maybe hundreds of lives or even more. But every 15 minutes out here in San Diego, California, was put on by the California Highway Patrol. And let me tell you what, it's a reenactment. So everything I'm about to share is not true, but it was put on as if it's true because it involved high school kids, including my daughter, McKenna, who was a part of the Every 15 Minutes assembly and ultimately funeral. And the California Highway Patrol put on this entire thing to really make such an impact on these kids that they are going to think twice about drinking and driving, because as you know, drinking and driving can wreck or kill people's lives. So in this, they had a helicopter, 2 cars got totaled, a Jaws of Life. There were hospital reenactments with doctors and nurses, like real doctors and nurses in the ER, state police, local police. I mean, it was a full-on production. And here's what happened in this Every 15 Minutes. Ryan Stoddard, who is a great young man, star football player here in San Diego, ultimately in this reenactment, this is not real, but in this reenactment, but it seemed real. And let me tell you what, going to the hour-and-a-half assembly certainly seemed real. Ryan decided, despite him not drinking in high school, decided to celebrate one night with his friends and had a little too much to drink. And he decided to get behind a wheel. And at the high school, he got into a car wreck with my daughter McKenna being in the other car. And Ryan was arrested on site on school. His girlfriend was killed in the car wreck. My daughter, McKenna, who was a passenger in the other car, was paralyzed from the waist down, and the driver of that car was killed. Yeah. So this reenactment was unbelievable, with hundreds or thousands of kids witnessing McKenna getting the jaws of life coming out of the car, rushed to the hospital. The doctors telling her that she would never play lacrosse again, let alone walk again. And two people had funerals, and Ryan Stutter was sentenced to 14 years in prison. 14 years in prison at the age of just shy of 18 years old, tried as an adult and convicted on this. Now, here's what I want to share, because I went to the 1.5 hour funeral / assembly at the high school. Now, imagine this. There's a casket on the court, a casket, full casket, and they had 20 kids come up as the living dead with the Grim Reaper. McKenna was wheeled up in a wheelchair, pushed by Ryan, and it was one of the most touching assemblies, programs I've ever been part of. Now, there were a few people who spoke, and then I had the opportunity to speak as well. And I spoke as if McKenna really was paralyzed, and how I would feel if my kid was paralyzed or if my kid was killed. And then after I was done, I spoke for probably, I don't know, a few minutes. A gentleman spoke, and this is where it got real. A gentleman spoke, and this man, now this is real. This is real. The rest of this is real. He just got out of prison, 8-year sentence for killing someone because of DUI, vehicular manslaughter, and driving under the influence. Now, his sentence was much longer, but because this man was a impeccable behavior in prison, he was released after 8 years. 8 years this adult spent. Now, he killed someone, and he went up with remorse and shared about this. But I share it with you because to hear a man who's not just his life was robbed, but an entire family's life was robbed because he killed another man because of his decision, it's a choice, to drink and drive. And then after he spoke, one more man got up and spoke, a gentleman whose son was killed 30 years ago by a drunk driver. Now, this son was just a young kid in high school, and he's been haunted for 30 plus years because of a decision made by someone to get behind the wheel and drive under the influence. This used to be called, there was programs, if you remember right, called Scared Straight. But I share this because it was extremely powerful. And if you ever hear the program called Every 15 Minutes, you can actually go on YouTube. Actually, I'll put it in the show notes. And you can actually watch the program every 15 minutes and see what the kids watch, because we watched the entire film of what was reenacted, and it was a professional, first-class, almost like a movie, and it was real. And Melanie makes her debut in that because obviously she's going to the hospital, and then I spoke afterwards at the program. But the purpose of the program is to educate these kids, especially during prom and graduation, which is a time notorious for drinking, with kids drinking. The program wasn't even to say kids don't drink, even though we know they shouldn't, because the cops, like, listen, if you choose to drink, do not drive. And that was the kind of the point of it, is like educate these kids, especially over prom and graduation time, about the perils of drinking and driving. So I share this with a few things because how quickly life can change. And that's number one. Like, you think about just how quickly life can change because of news you get today for something just that happens in your life. Boom, like that, things change. Number two, decisions are everything. We have choices every day, and one bad decision can literally change your life, right? So let's make the right choices. Kids, adults, it's all about choices that we choose to make, because we're either going to bury ourselves with the choices we make, or we're going to come out on the other side. And sometimes you don't even know the result because you never made the decision that if you would have made that decision, it would have been the wrong decision that would have led you down, well, maybe imprisonment, maybe making a wrong decision that could ultimately lead to divorce or peril, whatever it may be. It's choices, right? And then lastly, just a reminder, we hear it all the time, but let me tell you, when you're sitting in an auditorium and you see a casket, which could be a kid, and you see 20 kids up there as the living dead, and you see your daughter in a wheelchair who was, quote, just paralyzed, and a young man who I know well who was just convicted and arrested to 14 years in prison, and his entire, late teens, 20s, and even 30s are going to be robbed because of one bad decision to drink and drive. It wakes you up. Don't drink and drive. So many options these days between Uber and getting a designated driver, or just don't drink and drive. It's kind of crazy. They had mentioned a lot of accidents happen within 1 mile of your own house. Within a mile of your own house many times. So it doesn't have to be on this long 20-minute drive or 30-minute drive or going downtown. It could literally be right around the corner, because you're like, I'm just going to go to Johnny's house or Mary's house, and something bad happens. Don't drink and drive. So I wanted to share that today because it's a really, really powerful message, again, put on by the California Highway Patrol out here, but it's a national program. And I invite you, please hop over to YouTube and listen to their entire program that they did, because it really, really was powerful. I'm also going to do one more thing here today. Is if you would like to stick around, I'm going to read, it's not in the video, what I shared to the 2,000 plus kids in the auditorium. And this is what I shared. If I had 15 more minutes, and I read this and shared this with the students of Scripps Ranch High School, because maybe it'll impact one kid today on that. And this is what I got up and shared. McKenna, my girl, I'm at a loss for words, and I'm never at a loss of words. And today I am. I'm going to do my best to share with you my thoughts. First, I'm so grateful you're alive, McKenna, and I know through God's power we're going to get through this. 2, I'm so sorry for the Schramm and Perjenka families. I can't imagine the pain they're experiencing and will experience for the next many months and years. Heck, their entire lives are permanently changed as they lost their babies. And Ryan, there's so much I want to say. My human nature says, why? Why did you drive drunk? Why did you put all these kids in your car while you were drunk? And how are you the one who didn't die, and 2 families lost their babies, and 2 more are forever permanently scarred? The lives of the families who lost loved ones will never be the same, and they will never be the same for us either. Ryan, my other heart, my spiritual heart hurts for you. My heart hurts for you and your family. I know your life will never be the same either. For someone who had it all, school and sports, and had the world in the palm of your hands, now you're going to have to accept the consequences of your actions that forever changed the course of so many. Man, I saw you play a lot of football, and if there was one person that I would think, this kid has it all, I would say it was Ryan Stoddard. Scholar, athlete, great kid. Everyone loved Ryan. Just one bad, fatal, and grave mistake, and your life will never be the same. I know if you could go back and do it all over again, you would. But unfortunately, we can't. And that's the pain you will have to live with forever. I know you now have to spend the next 14 years of your life in prison, your best years with murderers, drug dealers, rapists, and bad dudes. And now you'll be living amongst them. And deep down, I know you're not one of them. You made one bad choice, one bad decision, and your life is forever changed. Ryan, your life's forever changed, and your family's life is forever changed as well. As a man of faith, I forgive you, as I know you will do penance in prison. But man, to think you'll be at least 35 years old before you possibly face freedom hurts me to know that. McKenna, my heart hurts. I know how much you didn't want this to happen, that you didn't choose this, you didn't want this, and you certainly didn't know what happened. You were just at school, leaving the parking lot when you got hit. Otherwise, I know you would have never even gotten in that car that would have gotten hit. What I would do to trade places with you right now, you had it all. What I would do to go out and work out with you again, or play lacrosse catch with you, or coach you in lax, or take you on a daddy and daughter date. And now, life as a paraplegic will present a different set of challenges. I'll say this, life throws major curveballs, and this is a major one. I thought you had it all at the tender age of 17. You're a great girl, you're smart, you're beautiful, you have a toughness inside of you that most don't even know about. You're one heck of an athlete. And I was so excited for you to continue it all as you get ready to embark upon your next step in life as a student and lacrosse athlete at High Point in North Carolina. That team and that university will not be the same with you not there. I'm not one to look back and live in the past and live in a state of what if. I refuse to have us, me, your mom, Luke, or Brady, or even you sit and live in regret. Instead of what if this never happened? What if you never got in that car? What if you never went to that party? What if? Instead, we must now shift and think, what now? And when will? When will you be able to walk someday? That's going to happen. When will we be able to go on that dream vacation that you always wanted? And what does that look like? And when will you be able to share your story with other kids in high schools around the country to prevent them from being in the same situation as Ryan and grieving like the Schramm and Przaka families who lost their kids forever and will never get to hug them again? And when will you forgive Ryan? Yes, when will you find forgiveness to Ryan? If we got to step up and do this together, we will. Between me, your mom, and your two brothers, we're going to do this. Since you were a baby, we'd go to sleep every night always saying one thing. We're the Durkins. We always do our best, and we never give up. While today I look at this as a tremendously sad day, I'm also grateful that you did not die. I'm grateful that I can hug you and care for you and be there like you couldn't ever imagine. While the future is not what you thought it was going to be, or what you envisioned or dreamt about since being a little girl, I do know that God still has a huge purpose for you and that you're now stepping into a new future. Ryan, I forgive you. I know the future is not going to be easy for you. I'll be praying for you and curious to see how God molds you over these next 20 years. But I do forgive you. For all the other families, I'm so sorry. And I'll be with you through this all as well, as this could have easily been McKenna, now gone forever. We're in this together. And for all here, all of you are great kids. Don't let one bad choice become the biggest mistake of your life and one that you will regret until the day you die. McKenna, I love you. As you always heard me say, the best is yet to come. While it's sometimes hard to understand life when you're walking through or going through a tough time, it always makes sense in hindsight. And one thing you can count on, your mom and I will be by your side, in your corner, and taking care of you like never before. I love you, honey. Thank you. That, my friends, right there is what it's all about, and that's called Every 15 Minutes. I hope you enjoyed not only the Every 15 Minutes, but every part of today's powerful podcast episode, starting with the mindset of trust the redirect. Sometimes life gets redirected. In this case here, certainly this may be the most extreme way that life could get redirected. Let's hope that doesn't happen to you or your family. But you got to trust the redirect when it happens. And then Justin Prince, a huge thank you for just dropping so much wisdom and the power of the mindset, the power to keep going, and the power to have 5 successful companies, multi-million-dollar companies, and continually getting up and starting over again and getting up. And now with Make Wellness and all you're doing in the peptide world, I can't say thank you enough for dropping the dimes today. And I wanted to get personal with y'all and share this most powerful way from the Every 15 Minutes program. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you could do me a favor, please, if you can share today's episode, any part of it that spoke to you, please share the entire episode and encourage your friends, your family, your coworkers, or just your community to listen in and to get something out of it. I do believe that some one person can be saved by simply this episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. I thank you so much. God bless you. Have an incredible week. Please, I love hearing from all of you. Please reach out to me. Share this on your social media. Let me know how I can help you. If you'd like to text me anytime, remember 619-304-2216. That is my cell number. Yes, it is my cell number. 619-304-2216 is my cell number. Make sure you opt in, hop in, ask me a question or any comments, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thank you for being a great audience today. Peace and God bless you. Until next time, remember, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact. Today's Todd Durkin Impact Show podcast is brought to you by Impact X Performance. Are you ready to change more lives? Do you want to be part of a dynamic team dedicated to changing the world? And are you ready to step into the next chapter of your life where you can impact even more people? If so, today is the day. That's right, my friends. Impact X Performance is dedicated to be a cutting-edge facility where we can bring you fitness, recovery, faith, and life coaching all under one roof. If you're looking to create even more impact in your community, today is the day. Visit ImpactXFranchise.com. That's ImpactXFranchise.com and take a look at all of the opportunities that exist for you to create even more impact. That's ImpactXFranchise.com. I'll see you there.